Hello guys, welcome back. So now we'll be learning about arithmetic coding. Okay, so in this video we'll be learning about floating point arithmetic coding. So let's start. So here I have the algorithm arithmetic encoding parameter message current interval equals 0, 1. This is your initial interval. While the end of the message is not reached, read letter xi from the message. Divide current interval into subinterval IR current interval. Current interval equals subinterval I in IR current interval. IR is your interval range. And finally output bits uniquely identifying current interval. So let's move ahead. So here I have an example given source S equals A, B, C hash and their corresponding probabilities 0.4, 0.3, 0.1 and 0.2. You have to encode the message A, B, B, C hash. Okay. So let's start. Make one table with 3 columns, current interval, input letter and subintervals. Now first take 0, 1 as your initial current interval. Okay. This is always 0, 1. So your first input letter is A. Now you have to divide this interval into subintervals. So how to divide this into subintervals, I'll tell you. So for this row you have to use this formula, okay? This one, IR equals 0, P1, P1, P1 plus P2, P1 plus P2, P1 plus P2 plus P3 and so on. So now see here, first take this 0 for the first subinterval here. So this 0 comes here. Then how to find this? Just take the first probability. Okay. So 0.4 comes here. Now for finding the next subinterval, what you do? Take the right interval of previous one as the left interval of current one. Okay. So this 0.4 comes here. Now how to find this? Just take the sum of these two. Okay. So 0.4 plus 0.3 you get 0.7. Next, right of previous equals left of next or the current. So this 0.7 comes here. Now how to find this? Take the sum of these three. So 0.4 plus 0.3 plus 0.1 gives you 0.8. Next, right of previous equals left of current. And how to find this? Take the sum of all the probabilities. So you get 1 here. Okay. So while finding the first subinterval, you have to take this 0.4 or the first probability. While finding the second one, you have to take sum of these two. While finding the third, you have to take sum of these three. And for the fourth, you have to take the sum of all the probabilities. Okay. So this way you have to divide this interval into subintervals. And please remember that this 4 will lie in between these two numbers. Okay. So we have a 0 here as the left range and 1 as the right bound. Okay. So these 4 values lie in between these two values. So now we have the subintervals. Now what you have to do is check the input letter. We have a A here. So now check at which position A is in the source letter. So see here, A is at the first position in the source. So since A is at position 1, you have to select the first subinterval as your next current interval. Okay. So A is at position 1, so you take first subinterval as the next current interval. Okay. Whatever the position, that subinterval you have to choose for the next current interval. So let's move ahead. So now you have got this subinterval or the current interval. So next, take the next input letter. We have a B here. Now divide this interval into subintervals. So I'll show you. So I have the solution here. You have to use this formula. So we have a 0 and 0.4 here. So let's find the subintervals. So first subinterval, see here, we have L as 0 and R as 0.4. So left and right. So now substitute these values in this formula. So you get a 0 here, comma, what is L? 0 plus R minus L. So 0.4 minus 0 into what is P here? P1. Because we are finding the first subinterval. So we have to take the first probability. Okay. So our first probability is 0.4. So we have to multiply it with 0.4. So you get 0, comma, this 0 remains as it is, and this evaluates to 0.16. So next we have the second subinterval. Now what you have to do? Right of previous becomes left of current. Okay. So this 0.16 comes here. Then you have to find the right hand side. So what is the right hand side formula? L plus R minus L into P. Now what is L? 0. What is R? 0.4. So 0, comma, R minus L, 0.4 minus 0 into, now what will be your P? Since you are finding the second subinterval, you have to take the sum of first two probabilities. So what is the sum? 0.7. So after evaluating this, you get 0.28. So this 0.7 into 0.4 gives you 0.28. See here, you have 0.28 here. So you took this 0.16 to the left of the current one as it is, and you got 0.28 after this calculation. So next, let's find the third subinterval. So the right of previous becomes the left of current. Now find this one. So you have L as 0, R minus L, 0.4 minus 0 into P3. So why P3? Because it is the third subinterval. Now what is P3? The sum of these three. Okay. So 0.4 plus 0.3 plus 0.1 gives you 0.8. So 0.8 into 0.4 will give you 0.32. Okay. So this is your third subinterval. Now let's calculate the fourth one. So this right 0.32 comes here. Right of previous equals left of current. Then use this formula. So L is 0 plus R minus L is 0.4 minus 0 into P4. Now what is P4? Sum of the four probabilities. So you get a 1 here. So 1 into 0.4 gives you 0.4, and this 0.32 comes here as it is. Please remember, first you have to take L as this 0, and afterwards you have to take the L value as the previous right value. Okay. See, we have taken this 0.16 to the left. So right and left. And about the probabilities, while finding the first subinterval, you have to take P1. While finding second, sum of first two, that is P2. Then while finding the third, you have to take sum of first three. And while finding the fourth, you have to take sum of all the four probabilities. Okay. So this way you have to find the subintervals. So what do you get here? You got 0.32. See here, 0.32 and this 0.32 comma 0.4. And see here, you have got the right of previous as left of current, then right of previous left of current, and right of previous left of current. Okay. So this way you have to find the subintervals. Okay. So again, while finding the first subinterval, take P1, that is 0.4. While finding second, take the sum of these two. While finding third, take the sum of these three. And while finding fourth, take the sum of these four. Okay. And your L and R will be fixed throughout for all these subintervals. So this will be your L left hand side and this will be your R. Okay. Please don't take this as L and this as R for finding this one. Okay. Your L and R will be the current interval. Okay. So this way you have to divide into subintervals. So now what you have to do, check the input letter. What is the position of input letter in source? Position 2. So you have to select second subinterval as the next current interval. Okay, so you get 0.16, 0.28. So now you have to take the next input letter, that is B, and you have to divide this interval into subintervals. Okay, so I've shown you how to calculate for this one, so you can try for solving for this. Okay, so I'll tell you directly. So this 0.16 will come here, this L, then substitute L and R values here, and P will be 0.4. So you get 0.208. Now what will be your L and R? Your L is 0.16 and R is 0.28. Okay, so now this 0.208 comes to the left, right of previous as the left of current. Then for finding this one, you will take L and R values as 0.16 and 0.28, and what will be your P value? P2, that is 0.4 plus 0.3. So you get 0.244. Then right of previous as the left of current. How to find this? Take L and R value as this, and what will be the probability? P3, that is sum of these three. So you get 0.256, and take the right of previous as left of current. How to find this? You can write this value directly from here. Okay, but if you want to check if your answer is correct, then you can solve for this. So how do you get this? Take L as 0.16, R as 0.28, and what will be your P? Your P will be the sum of all this, that is 1. So you get 0.28. Okay, so these are your subintervals. Now check the position of B in source. So what is the position of B? Position is 2. So we select the second subinterval as the next current interval. Okay, so next what you have to do, take the next input letter, that is C, divide this into subintervals, you get these values. So this 0.208 comes here, then you get these following values. So now check the position of C in source. The position is 3. So you have to select the third subinterval as the next subinterval. Okay, so you have got your current interval. Now take the next input letter, that is hash. So what you have to do, divide this current interval into subintervals first. So after dividing, check the position of hash in source. Hash is at position 4. So you have to select the fourth subinterval as the current interval. Okay, so now your input is finished. There is no more input left. And also remember, hash marks the end of a string. Okay, so you have processed your input, and this is the final value you get. So this is your final answer. This you will be using for decoding your encoded string. Okay, so in this way you have to solve the problem. So I hope it was clear to you. Please practice making these subintervals. Okay, these are very important. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comments below. So thank you for watching. Keep learning.